Hey, good evening, Veterans Council and Veterans Facebook and YouTube fans. Here on a special night tonight, as I mentioned before. What I want to introduce you to is we're gonna do a series all through the month until we get to September 30th. We're gonna have our virtual Veterans and Families Suicide Prevention Summit. That's right, Veterans and Families Suicide Prevention Summit. And we got a special guest because again, there are 4 parts of suicide, veteran suicide. One is the prevention part, which is awareness, training, intervention, and finally postvention. And I know not many of us heard about postvention, but postvention, because I think a lot of organizations don't like doing it as far as the military or civilians, because it's almost like you failed. But you know what? It still doesn't matter. Postvention is just as important, and it can be a preventive factor if done right. So we're going to have tonight a special guest on where Rick and Rebecca Winkler will tell us a bit about Drew, introduce Drew to the audience, so you know who Drew is and as a human being and how his suicide affected the family. This is only be a quick 5 to 8 minute interview, because the rest of it you got to wait, you got to sign up, you got to register on the event. You see it on the scroller there. Register on Eventbrite, and the tickets are going, and you'll see the whole entire interview with the entire family of Rick and Drew Winkler. So I want you to know, so I'll just real quickly so you see where I'm coming from here again, and I'll put the promo right here. You see right here, here's the promo of the second, this is Veterans Council Veterans, second annual Veteran Suicide Prevention Summit. And we have all these panels. We're actually adding panels. And we got everybody, it's a for us, by us. Remember that hashtag for us, the number 4, vets by vets. It's us taking care of us, because as we say all the time, if we're not going to do it, then how we expect someone else to do it? And you see that one panel there, we have the Family and Veteran Suicide, we have that panel, and tonight's guest will be part of that panel. So you get a good glimpse of who they are and what they do. So, to no further ado, I'm not tired of looking at my ugly face. I want to introduce Rick and to the thing. Hey, how you doing, Rick and Rebecca?
Good, Tony. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fine. We're going to use this little small segment. First of all, to do a quick introducing Drew to the Facebook audience, and a little bit, and tell me, since you guys have a veteran connection, also kind of bring that veteran connection as part of the discussion. So go ahead. Who is Drew?
Drew was a middle son. His full name was Richard Andrew Winkler, but at about 5, he came and said, "I'm just Drew." So he kind of took Drew, but he had his dad's first name. He was a middle child. He was social butterfly definition prior to the military. Prior to deployment, let's say. Never knew a stranger. Actually graduated from high school, doing his last 2 years of high school as a full-time college student. So he actually graduated with his associate's degree 2 weeks before he got his high school diploma. So he was very outgoing, never intimidated by people, by crowds, by anything. And then he joined the military. He wanted to go in. Wasn't necessarily our first or even second choice that we would want for him to have a career. But it was very evident he was going to go in the military. It didn't really matter. He had decided. So he joined the military. He went into information systems. It was computers. And then when he was sent to Aviano, his first base in Aviano, Italy, he became part of about 5% of that career field that they turned into cybersecurity. So he actually worked at Aviano in cybersecurity towards the end, and actually trained a lot of the higher ranking, the staffs, the techs, the masters on the systems that they were working on. And then he deployed to Iraq, kind of volunteered to go to Iraq. And then in Iraq, also did kind of the security for the third, I forget what they're called, the host nationals, third-party nationals. They're in the different capacities of security. And then when he came back, he crashed at Aviano. And he went from a troop that was Airman of the Quarter, nominated as Airman of the Year, won Airman of the Quarter, and all of a sudden came back from Italy and was doing high risk activities, behaviors, adrenaline rushing, seeking types of activities. And it mind boggled me when he got out that nobody seemed to think that this airman like changed completely, like 180 degrees. And when he got back here, it was within about the first 3 weeks that he came back and stayed with us that he crashed. He sat on the couch. He had a hoodie over his head. Couldn't stand to be around people. I mean, just total panic to be around groups of people. And I took him to the VA. When he was discharged from the Air Force, he was sent with basically no meds. He had been put on, I think, 3 different medications for PTSD and social anxiety disorder. And he started his journey with the VA, which was 5 years of trying to figure out what worked and more than likely discovering what didn't work, from one med to the next med to the next med. And then on Memorial Day, May 30th, 2016, he was here with us, with his boys, staying at our house for the weekend, which he did a lot of weekends, most weekends. He had his boys Sunday, Monday, and Tuesdays, and he would stay the weekends over here. Our house was bigger. We had more area for the boys to play. And on at 5:06 a.m., he posted on Facebook, 1 of 22 per day. Why can't they just help us goodbye? And that's the last time, and shortly thereafter, that we know that he was still alive. He sent out some texts to different family members and some friends, and then we were woke up on May 30th by a neighbor. His aunt had contacted his younger brother to get a hold of somebody to come and check because of the message on Facebook and some concerning text, and then he wouldn't answer her. And sometime after 8, his younger brother found him, and then our neighbor banged on our door and got Rick. And then our post-suicide journey began. And it is that. It is a post-vention. Suicide does not stop with the death of the veteran. It's just the beginning of those left behind to pick up the pieces and to try and move forward. So I would say the journey of suicide is much far-reaching than just what it took to get the veteran to the point that they took their life. The journey after that is so much more complicated.
You had mentioned earlier, and I want everyone to understand that. So, Drew, give us his family people. Give us, he got sons, brothers.
He had 2 boys. They right now are, one turned 7 in July, the other one will turn 6 in December. So he has 2 boys that were his entire world. I mean, he had said that his biological child, his little redhead, was the best of everything that was in him. He raised his other son from the time of 4 months. It was not biological to him, but it didn't make any difference. He was as much his son, Christian, and then his biological child, Caden. There was no different in his mind. He was a middle child. He has an older brother who is a captain in the fire department, and he has a younger brother that works in a juvenile detention facility. So when we had his celebration of life ceremony, we had no idea. There were hundreds of people at his service. The call center that he worked in for DirecTV nearly had to shut down the day they found out that he died, because there were so many people that couldn't even answer the phone from crying because of losing Drew. And when we had his service, we had people who had never met Drew but had read his post on Facebook, and it so impacted them. We had one that drove from Alabama, had no connection to us at all, but he said, I just felt like I needed to be there. He's an Army veteran. So the people that he impacted was, I could have never guessed. We had people that contacted us from Italy, saying, we read your son's post. Can we share your son's story? We're getting ready to do our suicide active duty, our suicide training. Can we tell your son's story?
I want to make sure, because I don't want to give away too much of because you guys are going to be on our panel on September 30th. So I don't want to give too much. I want to give the people something to crave for at the end for this panel. But I do want to also bring in the fact you guys have a veteran connection. So tell us that veteran connection that you two have.
I'm Air Force, prior Air Force, and now I work for the Department of Defense Navy. I am a contracting officer, so I spend their money. He did a lot more military time than me.
She done about 4 years active duty. She's not including.
Yes, I did.
And I've done 20 years, 6 months, and 13 days.
But who's counting?
He sounded like a enlisted person. Were you enlisted?
Oh, I was enlisted, yes.
Yeah, the enlisted guys always do that. They always go down the
workers. They're the workers. You count those days you're working.
And then go ahead. You were in the Air Force for 20 years, and then
I was in the Air Force, and then as I transitioned out into the civilian world, paramilitary thinking, I went straight into the sheriff's office, and I've been a deputy sheriff since 2007. So
don't get me started. I'll start getting started with something else, but now's not the time. So so tell us why this event you guys are participating in, why you think this event is important for people to come and actually watch.
Well, one of the things is we focus family. Family's important because the military member isn't the only one suffering through the PTSD or MSD, any of the traumas. It isn't just the military member. Their family's got to fight through it with them. So we'd like to include the family and stretch out with other organizations, and they become our family too.
Which is why the star that you see represents the Winkler's Wish Foundation, which we started in memory of Drew after he passed away. And we right now in this area are the one peer support group that allow and encourage family members. We have meetings with them, dinners with them, and we have them bring their families. It's so evident when you see children that know that mommy or daddy has come back and they're different. They don't understand why. They don't know how to process it. They don't know how to even accept it, but they know that their parent that left to go to this faraway place, and a lot of times that's the only way they can understand it, this faraway place, came back and they're not their mommy and daddy anymore. They're angry, they're withdrawn, they're hurting, and they don't understand it. So for us, it became not just important, but almost imperative to include the family members and the children, because for us, it seemed only logical that for a veteran to really try and regain their sense of wholeness and purpose, the family has to heal with them. Otherwise, it's like they're healed in a vacuum, and then they're trying to bring their family back into it. So we just felt like it was the most natural thing for them to heal as a whole unit. So from day one, we didn't necessarily have family members, and we found out very quickly that was a necessity, that these veterans that were coming needed to be able to bring their children and their spouses and their loved ones.
Family members, a veteran of their own.
They are. They're veterans that just didn't take the oath of service.
So thank you very again. What you're saying, I know you got a lot more to add, and you got some great recommendations, and we're going to have some of your family members as well on our virtual forum. We're going to have both Drew's brothers on, and hopefully they get there. And we feel so honored you're taking the time to sit there and be here with the family, and hopefully we have an impact people who show up. So once again, we're talking to Rick and Rebecca Winkler. They're going to be on our panel, one of our panelists on the Family and Veteran Suicide, 30th September between 9 and 3 p.m. All you got to do is register on the Eventbrite. You see it on the ticket right there, and you'll be able to sit there and hear the rest of Rick and Rebecca's story. And don't forget, as we bring them back, I'll bring them back on one more time. We always say hashtag
4 vets, 5 vets.
Very important, hashtag 4 vets, 5 vets, because when you do this virtual, when you come to this virtual, you're going to see people who are part of the military and who actually, I'm not saying other people don't care, but we've walked in the boots.
Yeah.
So
we can be found on Facebook too.
Roger that. So
we're going to be throwing that hashtag for Vets My Vets on there.
Keep sharing is caring. I'm glad you guys could be on, and we're a little bit past our time, but thank you, Gary, again for Rick and Rebecca Winkler and for giving us a small insight into Airman Drew Winkler. You said Richard was
Richard Andrew Winkler.
Okay, Richard Andrew Winkler.
His friends all called him Drew.
Oh, okay, great. So until then, I see you Facebook guys out there. I see you again on the 30th of September. Register. Share. Sharing is caring. This is Tony Williams from Veterans Council of Veterans, out.